financial advisor, but I've done extremely well in investing, and I just think it can teach a lot of people something. So when I talk about Bitcoin, then it's not because it's just fun to talk about, because it could be, but that's not the main reason. It's because there is a certain purpose, and right now, XRP is in an interesting position. We had some more breaking news. Judge Torres signs an order officially dismissing the case against Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson. Anyway, please understand this. We are working every single day to look for the proper investment path. And that means to see what is worth buying right now versus what is worth buying in the future. And that's also what we reflect. If we're purely talking about, hey, if I want to buy one thing, not look which is going to get me the most results, questions like that are simple yet very hard. The reason I say simple is because most crypto assets will do exceedingly well. So the question as to why it becomes hard is just which one will really do the best and which one will last 10 years, because 10 years is a long ass time. Things get easier if you're asking which asset will greatly perform and I will keep up with it every 3 months to readjust if necessary. Because then all of a sudden your pool of cryptos becomes so large and almost any coin at the top is très bien, beautiful. And I personally base my investment thesis on risk to reward, meaning we look at, hey, how risky is this? What is the probability of complete failure? And how much will we make? What's the return? Can I turn $1,000 into $1 million if this does actually do well?
This is one of a few announcements where they're talking about the case being dismissed. So I'm going to go to this video from Moon Lambo, and he's going to go over that Judge Torres dismissing the case against the executives for XRP. So remember, XRP Army, things are starting to pick up. Like I told you previously, at some point when Bitcoin starts to run, which it is, XRP is going to be one of the top beneficiaries, right? XRP is going to come on and Caspa is going to come on. So together, if Bitcoin stays going, the entire crypto market is going to pick up. And as the war or this conflict continues, I suspect, like I've been saying previously, a lot of people are going to start taking their money out of the bank and invest it in gold, silver, and crypto just to be safe, because banks generally don't do well in times of war or
$1.40.
conflict.
And he
So let me
says,
know what you
quote,
think about that.
God candle, it
Go ahead and
is
hit the like
coming,
button
end
and
quote.
give me some comments.
And so, look, I'm not a chart guy. I don't pretend to know what's going to happen in terms of price action. But I appreciate those that are willing to stick their neck out there and make price predictions and share what they suppose is most probable in terms of XRP price action. And we can just track stuff over time and see who's mostly right. And then there's also this headline, and I'm going to try to be somewhat brief on this one. But from you today here, Ripple triumphs as Judge Torres dismisses case against Garlinghouse and Larson. And the reason I'm going to provide more than just a little bit of a blurb on this, because we already knew that the SEC, of course, was they have dismissed. They announced that they were dismissing the case. The reason I'm going to spend just a couple minutes on this is because there's perspective from an attorney within the XRP community who caught something that I haven't seen anybody else bring up. And then there was also this headline from Finance Feeds. MicroStrategy's Bitcoin bet pays off, turns profit of $160 million. And so there you go. I just want to touch on this because I can relate to this. And whatever you think of Bitcoin, whatever you think of Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy and their investment into Bitcoin, I'll just say this. I respect the conviction because I have the same level of conviction specifically. I mean, certainly true of the broadly speaking of the crypto asset class, but specifically for XRP. And so people gave Michael Saylor crap as Bitcoin was down for years and his investment was down for years. But folks, that shouldn't be surprising. For the first few years that I was in crypto, because it market cycles, let's be real, we've been on 4-year cycles, right? So for the first few years that I was dollar cost averaging in XRP, I was down for most of that time period. So what? So it's like, but I had strong conviction, and I still do, and so I just admire the fact that even though he's taken a different approach, he thinks Bitcoin is the one. Okay, fine, whatever. He has conviction in it, though. He knows what he's doing, and he's not letting any of the detractors influence him in what he's doing in his Bitcoin investment strategy. So, whatever you think of Bitcoin or Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, doesn't matter. Hopefully, we can all at least appreciate that. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so a few days ago, we got word from the SEC. They let the judge know, hey, we're dismissing the charges against Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson with prejudice. The case is over. That's it, right? But there's a little bit more to it, actually. So check this out. Now that Judge Torres has actually signed off on this thing, so it's official. It has gone through. So that's why this is back in the news, to be clear, is because Judge Torres has given it the thumbs up. We have additional specificity here, and here's what XRP community member and attorney Fred Rispoli had to say. The signed order from Judge Torres just came in, granting the stipulation of dismissal. In reading the original stipulation, I failed to notice the parties only agreed to dismiss Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson from the institutional sales claim only. As the judge ruled in Ripple's favor on programmatic sales and other distributions, the claims against Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson for those two categories automatically died at that point, but could theoretically be revived if the SEC appeals and wins on overturning programmatic sales and other distributions for XRP transactions. And if the SEC totally wins on appeal, it can later sue Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson on institutional sales because this dismissal is with prejudice. I'm sorry, it can't later sue Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson on institutional sales because this dismissal is with prejudice, which means never, ever, ever can Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson be sued on the institutional sales theory. So it was a sloppy drafting in the dismissal to only include institutional sales in the dismissal. I doubt it. I think this is more proof the SEC is going to, as Water T would say, crunch the numbers and wrap this one up for good. And so again, you'll recall that the SEC, they made a number of assertions having to do with Ripple's activities and sales having to do with XRP. So there were the institutional sales, there were the programmatic sales, and then there were other types of sales. And they're all specified. And that's why when Judge Torres issued her summary judgment decision, she used that language that the SEC filed in their original brief, because the charges against Ripple, right? So that makes sense. But you'll recall that the SEC only won on institutional sales, but they lost on programmatic sales and the other distributions. So what Attorney Rispoli is saying here is that, no matter what, it's literally impossible. It cannot be the case that the SEC can ever go after Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson for the institutional sales. But he's saying if there's an appeal for the other transactions, in theory, they actually could, which is not something I had seen brought up by anyone else, period. And so then the question is, why did Brad Garlinghouse's attorneys allow this? Why did they not think of it? And so somebody named Win Moon responded to Attorney Rispoli and said, not sure that I understand what you were trying to say or the point you were making. And so he clarified with the following point. If I were Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson, I would have demanded dismissal of all claims, not limiting it to institutional sales only. If the SEC appeals and overturns ruling on other sales, SEC can still sue Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson on those two other categories. So again, I hadn't heard that perspective anywhere, so I found that fascinating. So is this because they're just abundantly confident that it's not going to get to that point, that this isn't going to be a turn and it's just going to be a non-issue? I don't know. But, and so, look, to be clear, I still would guess that, this is not something that's going to come back and bite them on the rear end. But Attorney Rispoli is just noting that technically it possibly could, just not the institutional sales. And then there was also this. From chart analyst E. Greg Crypto with 37,300 followers. He's the one that was talking about the God candle and XRP hitting potentially upwards of a $1.40 here. And so here's exactly what he had to say here. And it doesn't get too into the weeds in terms of technical analysis, so I want to share with you his full thoughts on this in full context. And he wrote, XRP God Candle, it is coming. Feel free to rewind to my post on April 2nd, 2023, where I initially introduced the God Candle. Fast forward to today, and XRP is still chipping away at what can only be described as its own Berlin Wall of resistance. With each small pinch, this formidable barrier inches closer to its inevitable collapse. The potential breakthrough looming on the horizon promises to be nothing short of spectacular. My expectations are set on XRP's forthcoming move, which I anticipate falling within the impressive range of $1.10 to $1.40. And so, again, folks, I don't make price predictions, but that range doesn't seem wacky to me in the least. That's not even close to all-time high. Now, I'd love to see that. That would be inspiring, let's say, considering what we've seen recently, right, in terms of XRP price action. But again, with the excitement of what's happening with Bitcoin leading the way out, this doesn't sound remotely unreasonable should Bitcoin continue to the upside. And you don't need to be a chart analyst to come to that reasonable conclusion. I'm not. It's just obvious to the layperson. Like, of course, Bitcoin's going to keep doing this. Now, he has his chart analyst reasons as to why. And so let me get a little bit further because he also shares the additional perspective. W formation. Now let's take a closer look at the current technical analysis. It's apparent that XRP is in the process of forming a distinct W pattern, a chart formation often associated with trend reversals and powerful price momentum. This pattern suggests a measured move to approximately 65 cents. Now, folks, I'll pause to note this is interesting because a different XRP chart analyst known as Dark Defender, who has been
At KTS, we are passionate about empowering you to unlock your trading potential.
Well, I'll just say it like this. He's become notably popular in recent times. I think now up to like something like 95,000 followers in the community. I actually happened to mention that in my very last video, but he's talking about XRP also getting to that range. I believe he said 66 cents. So that seems to be, we're splitting hairs at that point, 65, 66 cents. They both seem to think that that's the next reasonable level. And then he says the following: the rebounds. Our next significant milestone is around 65 cents, and a successful breach at this level would indicate a bullish trend, setting the stage for a retest of the range between 55 to 58 cents, followed by a rebound. If this rebound materializes, the confirmation of a price range between $1.10 and $1.40 is highly probable. XRP Army, stay steady. Our moment in the spotlight is drawing near, and your unwavering commitment will soon be rewarded. Well, I'll tell you what, eGreg Crypto, it better be, because I've been at this 6 years almost, damn it. Although, if not for the SEC, I think that I would have had my life-changing wealth back in 2021. I do believe that. But either way, my holdings are still worth way, way, way more than when I jumped in 6 years ago. So, still looking good. It just hasn't been to the point where I've chosen to cash out into United States dollars. But I have a strong suspicion, especially looking at what I'm holding going into this next market. So I have a very strong suspicion that I'm going to be selling the vast majority, if not all, of my crypto. That's my goal. And then once the bubble fully inflates and then inevitably pops again, then I'm going to buy in again and start the whole process over. And of course, continue to run the YouTube channel, because running this channel, frankly, is my most favoriteest hobby ever. I love running this channel. And I very much genuinely appreciate all the support, because it would be very lonely going on this journey without all of you. But we have an actual, real, big-ass community here full of millions of people. And then there's this. And I just want to touch on this because I just think it's cool, because it has to do with conviction. And again, Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, Bitcoin, I understand. Not everybody's cup of tea, and fair enough, I say. But I admire very genuinely the conviction. Even though Michael Saylor, he says like some crazy stuff, and he is a Bitcoin maximalist, which I find completely absurd and unreasonable. The conviction that he has specifically with Bitcoin, and how he doesn't let anything sway him. You know, the price going down, it doesn't phase him in the least. And same for me though. Like, price going down for reasons having nothing to do with any sort of fundamental change, that doesn't emotionally touch me ever, not in the least. And I've been at this for almost 6 years, never sold a single XRP. So yes, when I see other people successfully pulling this off and not letting the feels get the best of them, yes, I think that's pretty cool. So I don't really need to read the article. I just wanted to mention it. But at the time of this article, they were up. MicroStrategy was up $150 million, but it's been down for much of the last couple of years.
Right. It's all about the conviction and just hanging in there. So, like the MicroStrategy thing, they were saying this guy was crazy. He's going to lose everything, and there's no way for him to get the money back, and the company's going to go bankrupt. I do remember them talking about that for years, right? Not even just in general, but for years, people have been talking about it. And look at them now. So with Bitcoin coming back, it's going to push the rest of the market. This guy was Moon Lambo was talking about, and as I've been telling you guys, right? All we need is for Bitcoin to start running, and we're to the moon. But I'm not going to be a moon boy and promise you guys massive returns. But if we look at the live coin watch, market cap is 29.6 billion. Today's volume is 2.5 billion. Volume versus cap is 8.71. All-time high is $3.92. And I think he said previously in that video, they're trying to get to $1.10 or $1.20, which would be about halfway. So it's definitely a good starting point, but it's not quite there yet. But it's still on the way up. So we're not going to knock it yet. But it's over 50, what is that, 52 cents, 51 cents? What was it? It was like 50 something. I want to say it was 52. But in the last hour, it's down 3.67%. Last 24 hours is up 4.18%. Last 7 days, it's up 12.89%. Last 30 days is up 8.15. Last 90 days is up 21.43. Or down 21.43. And for the year, it's up 21.19. Circulating supply is 53.4 billion. Total supply is 99 billion. Max supply is 100 billion. Total market cap is 55.39 billion. 7-day low is 0.0529. 24-hour low is 0.529. 24-hour high is 0.582. And like we've been telling you guys, at some point it's going to bounce back, right? I know a lot of people didn't listen, and I still get a lot of comments about people that think XRP's crazy or XRP's a shit coin or it's not going to do anything. So it's cool. You know, I'm not mad at your opinions, or I'm not going to argue with you. Whatever you want to say it, right? So comment and let me know what you think about it. If you think it's a good investment and bad investment. I'm pretty deep in, so I'm going to keep holding. So at this point, I'm starting to turn the corner and making money back. So this is not financial advice, but I do want to go over the part where he was talking about the convictions, right? If you believe in something, you got to hold on to it. You can't get in and out all the time, right? At some point, you'll have to get it, hold on to it, and just ride it out, right? There's no reason to give up now. And if you do need to sell for profit taking, go ahead and sell. And then, like he said, you can get back into it later. But you need to do what's right for you. Stop listening to fudders. Stop listening to haters. Stop listening to all these third parties that don't affect what you're doing, right? As my friend, I was always telling my friend, cash money is the army, better yet the Navy. So it's up to you, your convictions, and what you need to do. Don't listen to third parties or extra people with a lot of nonsense. You know what you need to do and stick to it. Ripple teams up with Uphold to booster cross-border payments. Official release for XRP Ripple. Uphold partners payments. It's hard to read this. Bitcoin company has launched partnership with Web3 Finance Uphold. And I'll put that in the comments because I can't even really see that, actually. But it is a good step for Ripple if they're teaming up with Uphold, because Uphold is a pretty large payment processor. So, like I said, it's starting to come together. Just be patient, guys. A lot of people are jumping in and out or going crazy. Just be patient. Keep climbing. Mama needs a new pair of shoes. I don't know about mama, but definitely, I guess mama and the kids, hell, everybody needs some new shoes. So it was up 9.31% in the last 24 hours. New infrastructure is being built. Banks meeting now that can prepare for the digital transformation. And this is more about the Judge Torres signs order to officially dismiss case against Brad Gillinghouse and Chris Larson. This is one of the digital assets with regulated clarity if you want to stock up on your bag before the next bull run. And this is pretty good, but you can't hear it, so I'm not going to go over that one. And I thought there was another video that I posted. Yeah, here we go. But I might save this for another video because it's kind of long and I think I'm running out of time. CoinMarketCap says that XRP is 0.55 cents, up 3.78%. Market cap is up 3.78 to 29 billion. 24-hour volume is up 131.52 to 2 billion. So again, 24-hour volume is up 131%. That's not common, right? Don't let anybody tell you or gas you up or be like, oh yeah, what happens? That doesn't happen. Not often. So if you're not into XRP, just keep an eye on it, right? I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy it. Just keep an eye on it. And then we have here CoinGecko, which are our guys. Big shout out to CoinGecko. CoinGecko has XRP ranked at 5, and it's at 0.55, so it's up 3.0%. Market cap is 30.9 billion. 24-hour trading volume is 2.8 billion. Fully diluted valuation is 57.9 billion. Circulating supply is 53.4 billion. Total supply is 99.9 billion. And max supply is 100 billion. And this is what we come to CoinGecko for 7 day. 7 day low is 0.479. 7 day high is 0.575. So within the last 7 days, this almost increased 10 cents, which is pretty unheard of, right? Maybe a few cents, but a 10-cent increase is not that common. So keep an eye on it, right? If you don't want to invest it. And all-time high is $3.40. So if we were to reach $1.10 within the next month or so, I think we could hit the all-time high before the end of the year. But let me know what you think about this. I don't want to hold you guys too long. This is Black Tiger Miner signing out for the XRP Army. Remember, the XRP Army's coming. And let's get back to the money, guys.